That Netflix thing came out yesterday. How cool is it? Like half my cast, they just mutinied and went over to Netflix. And I'm filming it for free, and then Netflix is cutting them checks to recreate the Great Day in Harlem, a photo of all the jazz musicians. They took all the black cast members from all the shows and recreated that image. So that's got to be forward movement, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the most amazing things is to see this that you did in 2015, 16, and to now look at Netflix and then to see Black Panther and then to see Ava now having a Ray and Issa Rae having her own show. And so what is that, that's a short time span. That's only 3 years. And, it's funny because they're talking about how this isn't going to happen and this isn't, but it seems to be happening. Is it happening? Is this, like they said in Netflix, this is a movement. This isn't a moment. This is a movement. Is it a movement? Are we now in the midst of, as Ava says, are we in the beginning? Are we in the middle? Are we in the end? Are we in the middle going forward and it's only going to get bigger and brighter and better?
I am cautiously optimistic that you have to understand, like, not only, like, well, first of all, Ava is the mega force. Like, people, when we were filming this, she's like she's like the Harriet Tubman of black film. I mean, most people, because she's liberated so many artistic voices, not only from her personal taste in terms of who she hired to help tell her stories, like the Bradford Youngs of the world and the great actors, the Omari Hardwicks and the Emmy Outsies and stuff, just impeccable taste. But she's one of those people that when she has an eye for talent, where she pushes you beyond. So when those doors opened, she held them open, and you need somebody like that in your culture. Somebody that just has some vision and will push it along. I've seen it before. Clearly Russell Simmons was that person for a while, and then. Clear in black film, you had Melvin and Spike. They fought hard to get people in unions, just allow people to dream, to feel like their dream is a reality. But so cautiously, but if you don't have Ava, not as many people are getting through the door, because not only does she serve as a symbol aspirationally, but she literally has more work than she can handle, so she's bringing people in. When she had Queen Sugar and she made the decision only female directors, now they're into season 3. They're people, their first TV directing job, but they made features 10, 15, 20 years ago. She hired Ayoka Chinzera, who did a film called Alma's Rainbow, first time directing for TV. Demaine Davis from Boston, who did Lift with Carrie. We screen Lift, and Demaine, she's saying, well, I'm doing advertising here in Boston. She Skyped in. Next, like 2 weeks later, hired for Queen Sugar. So you have to have people that have long memories, that respect talent, and demystify the process. Like, there are a lot of people that say, oh, you can't do it, and all this other stuff. No, she's like, we're going to teach you to do it. And even like Tanya, a lot of people in the movie, Tanya Hamilton has worked on Queen Sugar. Cheryl Dunye, who did Watermelon Woman and My Baby Daddy, she's been through the whole mill. She has not only done Queen Sugar, but now she's directing for other shows. Victoria Mahoney, who you saw at the very end, she had a great film. Did you guys show that one, Yelling to the Sky? Mm-hmm. Brilliant film, but completely overlooked. She's basically the lead director on the new series that Ava's got going that's been picked up, I think by Fox or something. So without that doesn't happen. Now racism also. Without racism, it doesn't happen. So we're in this weird bubble where you have Oscars so white, right? So the worst thing you can do is accuse a liberal person of being racist, right? It's like that'll hurt them worse than anything, right? So after the hashtag went out, Oscars so white, every studio executive went out and literally found work that would be Oscar caliber. Mudbound, Birth of a Nation, all these movies that would have gone by the wayside got picked up and promoted. It's sort of like you can't hide that, and then at the same time, inadvertently probably, Will Packer's producing movies that make hundreds of millions of dollars. Straight Outta Compton, Think Like a Man, ride along, proving that there's a broader audience. Because to get to $100 million, it's not just black people going to see Straight Outta Compton. It's not just black people going to see a Kevin Hart movie. So it's how you market the film and who you trust. So it's like at one point it was just Will Smith. Tiffany Haddish, huge star now just because of Will Packer. So there's a lot of forces at work. I'm just an observer. I don't know everything. I'm cautiously optimistic because I just think that I'm a hip hop fan. I've seen how our culture's been appropriated and used to the advantage and we're in a capitalist society. So if your movie, you can have the best intentions. If you're preaching to people, your movie doesn't make money. If you have even you could have won 5 Oscars. If 2 movies don't make money, you're not going to work for another 10 years. So I think I would love. I used to say I'm talking a lot. When I was in film school, I used to say, "Wow, if somebody could make a movie that had the popularity at this time, it's like late 80s or 90s, of like the Martin Show, but with like the social relevance of August Wilson, that would be the perfect thing for me. Like, I don't think you have to completely just feed your audience sugar, everything that they want. Mm-hmm. You should put a little message in. That's why I love Coming to America and Boomerang and those movies is like little things that make it specifically black. Even Uncle Drew, as much as it's a popcorn movie, it's Chuck Stone, and there's some things in it that it's a kids movie. I'm not gonna say like don't go. I'm not over endorsing it like you're gonna like be uplifted like this is the most woke movie in the world, but you have an older filmmaker who's not just like, oh, we're gonna have people dressed up playing basketball. There's little messages in and little codes that let you know if you're from a specific culture that this movie. Just like the jerk chicken today. It's like made for everybody, but there's a little, like if you're Jamaican, you taste a little extra spice in there, And I think that's what our movies need to be.
So what do you think about movies like Sorry to Bother You?
I'm gonna see it Thursday.
Okay.
I missed it. I recorded.
So I don't know if you guys know
Sorry
the
to
movie Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to bother you is
Totally not. Totally. So this is the other thing. It's with Donald Glover.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Lakeith Stanfield. And is it a black film because it has a black cast? Or is it just a movie about a telemarketer guy that could be told with anybody? So that's the other thing is like what is, that's always been the issue is like what is a black film and who she's Issa Rae said No, it was Shola. I just want to be a filmmaker, a black woman feminist filmmaker, a black woman feminist filmmaker who makes films about history. You know what I mean? I think that as filmmakers, we struggle with that. We struggle with, you're making that movie and people see you as being a black filmmaker. So that's one question. The other one, so do you think people see Ava as a black filmmaker or just as a filmmaker?
Well, I mean, I sometimes a trick question when you get on my show, I might look at you and say, "Are you a black filmmaker or a filmmaker who happens to be black?" And most people, when they're put on the spot, like that, they tend to lean when they know it's Reelblack TV, they lean to I'm a black filmmaker. But Ice Cube had the best example. He's like, I'm a black filmmaker who happens to make films about black people, or something like that. So. Yeah, but what's our identity in the United States? What's our identity in the world? It's the double consciousness of how we feel about ourselves with our humanity and how other people perceive us. So what's great about 2018 is that the barriers of entry are much lower, and people have the right and the freedom to express their own personal belief of who they are. And I think right now is great because we're in this wave now where everybody, it's almost like a autistic summer, like when Prague liberated itself, and you start to see all this art. Not everything's art, but just roll with me. So everybody's sort of like making the film that they wish existed when they were coming up, when they fell in love with movies, right? So And that's great, because you have dear white people, and which was confusing to me, quite frankly. I didn't know, because I was like, okay, well, what are we? It's like everything. But as the TV show evolves, there's more issue-oriented things happening in it. But the feature film was just, it lost me. And I think everybody has the right to do it, but I think most people don't realize how the images travel or how they're perceived by other people, and sometimes you can put some irresponsible things in them. But I used to think that the solution, this is why I want to make more films again. I used to think, wow, if more people that were black or happened to be black were making films, then the world would see the diverse range of existence,
Right.
much in the way when it was hip hop. And it was like before gangster rap, hip hop was this fertile ground where you could have comedy rap like Biz Markie and Will Smith alongside conscious rap, Public Enemy and Queen Latifah, and then over there you had Schoolie D and NWA, and it just felt like the whole spectrum, but somehow it got commodified. And some conspiracy theorists say the powers that be said, well, let's not sell this consciousness to the people. Let's gravitate this other stuff. But people, the second wave and the third wave, the people that weren't raised on the birth of hip hop, that understood that it was really about making something from nothing and being rebellious and expressing the way they saw the world from whatever perspective, said, oh, there's an opportunity to get rich. Let me do what NWA is doing, and it becomes mass genocide at that point, because there's no consciousness, as Paul Mooney says. But cautiously optimistic. I think before we open it up, I would say the two factors I think are most important are audiences, even if you don't support stuff in theaters. I know it's hard with everything. You barely advertise any movies anymore, and then they're on Netflix instantly. Even the festival, like half the movies we want, they go straight to Netflix now. So the best stuff, you're already paying for it with your Netflix bill or your streaming bill or your YouTube bill. But just know who these people are. When I talk to people about black film, most people outside of an industry, they can name maybe 3, maybe 4 black directors. And that's really good. Like if you know Spike Lee, if you know Tyler Perry, that's this and maybe you know Ava, maybe. Most people don't. But then most people aren't self-promoters like that, where their name is bigger than the title. So a lot of times we get lost. A lot of Will Packer movies are not directed by black people, and I can tell it. But most people, they say, oh, Kevin Hart's in it, and they like it for that reason. So know what you're putting into your body, support what you can. Audiences is the most important thing, and then don't go for the okie doke. If there's stuff that we're beyond the point of Red Tails. Like when Red Tails came out, I had seen it. I saw it like 2 weeks before.
Liked Red Tails. Look, see? People liked... You like that it was made, okay. You like the idea of it. Did you? But you didn't like the... But you did... It was important, okay.
Okay.
All right.
All
right.
Well, my main point. All right, you can. All right. Okay. So, all right, we can agree to like whatever you support, what you want to see that reflects your truth, but very quickly. Well, I mean, there was a time period where we kind of were like, you got to support these movies opening weekend, or else if they're not successful, then Hollywood won't make any more. And this movie is so important because it's our history and this, that, and the third. And I saw it like 2 weeks before, and I was like, and the same with like Red Hook Summer. I was like, go see Red Hook Summer, and it's like you kind of have to find like little things to justify it, just to support it. So I think we're past that point of just blindly supporting things strictly because they're representative of your cultural experience. It has to be good. So, or at least the quality is what's going to keep us in business, right?
Right, like Ava says about about the sustainability, and that's the most important part of it. So one of the things that one of the things I want to talk about is something that Ava said, which for the independent filmmakers here and for those who love independent film, and come to the Roxbury International Film Festival all the time. And I think it's really, really important when she says the making of your movie does not end when you say cut and you like enter it into a film festival. And Crosby's not here; he had to leave, but he is one of those people that has shepherded his film from and from festival to festival to festival to Amazon.com to trying to get it in different places. And she talks about the sustainability and how that helps with the sustainability. And I think that. So I'm cautiously optimistic as well, because I do see other filmmakers doing that, and I see other people making sure that they're pushing for and advocating for their films so that we see them in a lot of different spaces and places. And there is the whatever rainbow or whatever you want to call it of from something like an urban gangster movie all the way to a love story like Love Jack, that we're being able to see that.
Yeah, and truth be told, there are a lot of people. I mean, Get Out was a big game changer, as well as Straight Outta Compton and Black Panther. So it's proven if you make and even Django to a certain extent, if you make a good movie, people go see it. But yeah, go ahead, sir. I can hear him.
How do you feel about the film that's coming up, Black Klansman?
Spike Lee's, the question was how do I feel about Black Klansman? Well, it's Spike Lee's official comeback film. Black Klansman comes out at the end of the summer.
Official comeback film.
Yeah, he won at Cannes,
Yeah.
and it's produced by Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah.
The kind of welcome he got Mike at Con was, it was actually like almost unheard of. Like, in terms of what it's
That's an aside. Like I felt like Chirac. Spike makes work all the time, right? And a film a year. But an artist like him, it's better when there are things happening in society for him to comment on. And I felt like Chirac, after a couple sort of misses for whatever reason, Red Hook Summer and
Miracle on St. Anna? Miracle on St. Anna?
no, St. Anna was okay. No, the Sweet Blood of Jesus. Oh my goodness. I had to stop caping for Spike for a minute after Sweet Blood of Jesus. But when Chirac came out, I was like, wow, he finally has the zeitgeist again. Like what his message has always been about is about provoking discussion within things that are happening, race and controversy and stuff. And it came close, but people, you can't please everybody, so it didn't quite hit the mark. But did you see Black Klansman? Were you in France? Did you see it?
Yeah, I was at Cannes.
Solid film.
It actually was. I didn't expect it to be good.
Right. Well, that's how we all been conditioned.
It actually, it has Spike qualities in it, but the whole movie is really solid.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think about it's based on a real story too.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about. I mean, it's good timing for Spike. There's so much, and then TV. There's no shortage of stuff. But the main thing now is ownership. If people have been saying they keep moving the target, our right to tell our own story by directing, and then they move it. It's like, okay, well, distribution, as they're saying in this. Now it's like what Hailey says, do you own the rights? It's intellectual property. This is America, 21st century. Intellectual property is what the whole name of the game is right now. Netflix, as good as Mudbone was, they paid $12 million for it. Looked like it cost 40, in my opinion. And the filmmakers, they probably won't see another dime out of it because it's going to stay on Netflix forever. And even though they spent a lot of money to market it to some Oscar nominations, there's no guarantee. If we don't know the director or those filmmakers don't put forth their own campaign and market it, that they have, like Shala says, that they automatically have another. They can have a meeting with Netflix to get money for the next film. Yeah. Wait, there are a couple. Let's go here and then. Yes.
No, I have the same feeling as you about, and I enjoyed your film.
Thank you.
Cautiously optimistic. My cautiousness comes from net neutrality.
Net neutrality. Yes.
You have in the scoring of a film.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I believe we've been able to have this film is being able to have the access to be so available to everything.
Right.
So,
Well,
you
yeah.
ever thought about that part of it?
Well, are you familiar with the net neutrality bill that just passed, where basically corporations, if they pay more, they can have their content come to you faster, and then it's passed on to the consumer. So, like people that are in the catbird seat for that are like Netflix and Amazon Prime, places like that. And also at the same time, you're seeing the net neutrality happen, which is giving more power to these super powerful corporations. You're also seeing these huge mergers this year. You have Fox selling to what is this, Disney, and then there's an AT&T merging. So that's another, I wouldn't say it's a threat, but it's another sort of reason why eventually you're going to have to make a deal, you know. How much of your integrity can you maintain? Like some people, like if Charles were here, like he has a whole thing about Black Panther. As much as we're doing this and showing up in dashikis and making billions of dollars, it's all going to Disney. There's no guarantee. I mean, and then it's soon enough. The next Avengers movie, everybody's got their dashiki on, walking out in tears, like just like what happened to Wakanda, you know? So I thought we had it, you know. It's like we didn't make that movie. That's why.
Open the door. We opened the door in that Avengers movie and let everybody in.
They were made at the same time in Atlanta, and they did not know that Wakanda/Black Panther was going to be the juggernaut that it was, so they were made simultaneously. If you go on Black Girl Alerts, you can hear the interviews taking place throughout the entire year.
I'm just saying.
So I understand what you're saying.
Look, it's not yours. It was never yours, right? So if you're gonna work, if you choose to work in entertainment, it's at your own risk. It's so even just taking away from race. If you read the book about Saturday Night Live, I don't know if anybody read the oral history. Lorne Michaels, he Saturday Night Live. So he was at one point he was ready to quit the show, and they're like, look, you know, it's like, you know, NBC, General Electric, we own the network. We give you the time slot, right? We don't care what you put in it. If you actually work hard, stay up all night to make it actually good, that's a bonus. But we just care about selling, advertising, whatever it is. So in a capitalistic society, you're going to have to make some compromises. So for Black Panther, you know, the everybody loved it. We didn't own it, so if you have your Black Panther T-shirt, then good for you. But you know, chances are the money didn't go to the black people. And there is no Wakanda. I hate to break it to you. And then, but the thing people got upset about was the black on black crime. It's like you can kill black people all day. Superfly, they'll give you extra guns. Oh, do you need more time to shoot that? Yeah, get more angles to kill more black people. But you can't. There's just certain laws that are in place within the subtext of these movies where you get a sense of representation, you get a feeling of ownership. Sometimes because we've been so deprived of it, we probably own it more than we should. And I just caution anybody who's looking to get into the game, just like put some money aside, because there's a lot of broke rappers. You don't want to be like, you know, unsung for black people, like have this great year and be on the cover of everything. And then like 5 years later, you're like in the back of your mom's house, you know, trying to like edit some shit, you know. And we've seen that story. Eric Monti, saddest story in the world. So while we're up here, just put a little money and hire people. Like we could have been here a lot sooner. That's my other point. I get mad at Jada Pinkett.
First, I guess the Netflix commercial was directed by Lacey Dukin.
Can you give him the microphone so I can hear you?
The Netflix commercial was directed by a woman by the name of Lacey Dukin. The cinematographer was Malik Saeed, which is a Hollywood, you know, legend. my issue with a lot of, I guess, the black filmmaker talk being a black filmmaker is the singularity of the black filmmaker themselves when you actually have a team with you. Ava's films grew with Bradford Young and some of the other people that she was working with. Spike had Ernest, and many filmmakers had people that were with them in the trenches. I just think that we as either consumers of black entertainment or entertainment that is black or happens to be black can do a lot more work and research to kind of unearth some of those other pieces that other people are working on, dig out the directors, put them on to your friends, put it on your Facebooks, your Instagram, whatever you have, and just make sure that people know that there are other people other than just these singular stars that we have.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If there's an Ava, is there room for everybody else? You know,
Yeah. No, I mean, like I think the gift and the curse was she's got to have it because it kicked the door open for a lot of things, but it also because it was sort of like they're trying to sell it and Hollywood Shuffle. You don't know how many credit cards I went through trying to get a freaking movie done, and I went in default. You'll never see those films, and a lot of people have put houses up and stuff with the idea that they have to, and it's the fastest way in the door is to write and direct your own thing, to green light your own material. I have Ralph in the back. He's got a brand new film out on Amazon Prime that he wrote and directed. So, there's no rule about. And for those somebody trained, I got the student loans to prove it. And a lot of artists, they get frustrated because it's so much easier now to call yourself a filmmaker, but to devote yourself to the craft, to stay for the credits, to see who else is in there, is a whole nother thing. But I think, yeah, that was a big trick that they played on a lot of people that the writer, especially with Spike, because he starred in it too, and was selling tube stocks in the trailer, and that's a big trick with black folks too. We were talking about Cosby the other night. When you make yourself the one that's responsible for everything, your whole thing could just go, So that's why I say it's important to just give back. We could have been here a lot sooner. I was so irritated. I talk about it on the radio all the time. Jada Pinkett, when the Oscars so white, we're going to boycott the Oscars because Will Smith wasn't nominated for concussion. And it's like, okay. And then she said, she's sitting on a couch, right? And there's like a big, I don't know what horn or something, like an elephant tusk in the background or something. I said, look, if you just sold that piece of furniture, you could finance somebody's dream of making an independent film. If you, in the last 10 years, had agreed to just make a cameo in somebody's student film, it might have given them some elevation, or at least you would have had the relationship. I mean, the reason we have Ryan Coogler directing Black Panther is because of Forrest Whitaker. Straight up and down. He had a production company, and he saw promise in Ryan Coogler, gave him 3 meetings. They went through 3 different pitches before he said, I think I would like to do Fruitvale Station. And he said, sold. And $3 million, that's all it took to make Fruitvale Station. And the rest is history. Creed, Black Panther, this guy, he is a true mogul. He knows how to entertain and everybody. It's for the masses. And the same with Ava. Nobody wanted to make Middle of Nowhere. She had that script 10 years before it got made. She was in development. Sanaa Lathan was going to be one of the stars, and nobody trusted the fact that she could direct it. So when she had the money, I could buy a house, or I could make my film. She made the film. Well, pretty much the rest is history, So you have to put yourself in the game, but at a certain point, like Shala says, it does get tiring, and you kind of want the discovery, but I think the thing that motivates a lot of folks is that they know what the true deal is, and as long as you can cultivate your fan base, keep people with you, you can always go back. But if the minute you start putting out crap just for the sake of you heard like Kanye, I still love Kanye, but he lost a lot of fans with that insanity. You have to respect the people that you're making the work for and press flesh. That's why I'm so happy to be here. Press flesh and just do, yeah.
Can you talk about Tyler Perry? Because I noticed that everyone had
Tyler Perry.
came on. Now, Tyler Perry, I'm not a filmmaker, but I appreciate all kinds of films. It could be okey doke, it could be the stupidest stuff in the world. I have a very heavy job, so sometimes I like to go home and watch trash.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Oh, my mom, every time I go to her house, it's on. Like I said, like I'm from the north. I don't get Tyler Perry. Like sometimes, like when I remember they had a premiere of like the first TV show, the Meet the Browns or whatever, and I was in the side of the theater. Everybody on the other side was like rolling, and I was in the side. I was like quiet. It was like a bad rock concert, you know. And then we went to Boo. I interviewed Tyler finally after 10 years. He came for Boo, the first Boo, and I've never seen. Because he was in the building introducing the film, there was extra excitement. The audience literally was rolling. You could see their bodies moving back and forth, right? So he knows his audience. He knows his audience. I wish he would put more effort into the work. I wish he, like you say, he didn't make himself the center of everything, because I know there are a lot of people that work with him that don't get credit. A lot of people work with him because he's the only place hiring. So, you know, but he has, on the plus side, he's elevated a lot of careers in front of the camera. Like he's given some of the best roles in later days to like Cicely Tyson, and a lot of people love The Family of Praise, you know. So, you know, but I would say that they're Lifetime movies, and if he knows how much money the movies are gonna make before he makes them. I wish he put more time into them. Like Boo should not be improvised over 7 days.
He also owns his own content, and he has his own studio, and he has his own money. And I think for Tyler Perry, you know, he's controversial because he has these stereotypical images that you know people are like, I don't want to see that anymore. But it's funny. You know, I mean, that's the problem. It's funny, and you know, you like to laugh, but you do, you know. Real serious black filmmakers are like, you know, this is bad. Like, how are, you know, this is what you know.
There's no precedent for it.
Right.
No, I
You know.
guess my question is like, it's more towards the audience because everyone seemed to have a reaction as soon as
Let's
that
throw it
got
out there. What do you?
mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
There was this rush across the front.
There's I don't pay to see Tyler Perry films. When I do, I feel ripped off. If they have a screening or they come on DVD, I'll watch them.
So how does anyone else
But
feel?
but I mean, but the main thing about Tyler Perry is he knows his audience. He knows exactly. He does a few. I mean, well, for Colored Girls, people hate that. You know. It's like,
Girls being a young lady raised in the actual play, it was it was done by Miss Diane, and it kind of, I said it when it was never a man's story to tell.
right.
So and I had an aversion to seeing it, I wasn't really sure, I've never seen it on film, and I never want to see it on film because that was meant to be the way it was done the way it was for us by our voices. And so coming to see the play last year, earlier this year, Miss Diane did it. And then I didn't see it until like, oh my God, it clicked on why I didn't want to see the film. There was this internal aversion to seeing this film, and then I understood why. It was never his voice. Once he started it, it became a man's voice interpreting our voice. And I love the man, I love him. But that was our story, and it wasn't, and then the imagery and the man, I heard things about it, and I know young ladies who've never seen the play, doesn't know that there's a play, and that's the first time they're seeing For Colored Girls, so it does a disservice to that body of work by Auntie Uncle Shane. That's my perspective on that, because I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's the
well,
Tyler.
I just have a quick comment in regards to, because I feel like we're in Tyler Perry land right now. So as a black woman, I feel that, you know, I know it's trash, but I feel like there's also some message in there. Let me finish. So I feel like as a black woman, he stuck up for me with that movie where, Angry Black Woman.
No, the black
Diary of a Black Woman.
That was a good one.
He
That
stuck
was a
up
good
for
one.
me because that woman on stage is me. Like, I've been mistreated by a black man before, and I had to go through a situation like that where I was thrown out like I was trash. Not physically like she was, but I felt like that way. So I feel like his films are like a gift and a curse, as you said, because there's women who feel that way, and he's telling our stories from our perspective. And yeah, he's mixing in a bunch of craziness, nonsense to get those numbers in. But at the same time, he's also making our message. Like, he's also saying, I feel your pain, and I'm not going to ignore it. I'm also going to speak on it so that the brothers think about what they're doing.
Well, that's an excellent point. So, when on my YouTube channel, please follow, like, subscribe, comment. Don't at Reelblack on YouTube, Instagram, and not on Facebook. YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. But my podcast partner Charles Woods, we dissect different films. We had differing opinions on Superfly. That's why I've not edited that conversation because he actually liked that crap. I'm not co-signing on Superfly. But one of the things that we're trying to develop is black film representation versus justice, right? So much of what we talk about in terms of like social media, in terms of police and systems, our liberation is justice. Treat us the same way. So in a perfect world, black filmmakers should not have to identify themselves or even feel obligated to tell stories beyond their own experience. And again, my initial belief was that if enough people told their own stories, we'd see a broader sense of ourselves, and it would kind of, we could just be. We can go to a movie and just be, and not feel like we're making a vote or standing for anything. That I haven't seen that quite happen yet, because there's too much ignorance. Everybody with a camera should not be making movies, but it's true. But representation or justice. So, in a just world, Tyler Perry would not only be the most successful independent filmmaker of the last decade, and that's truth, white or black. He's the most prolific. He's made more money with his films than anybody. But he would also be on the level of a Spielberg, where he's at a point where he's looking for some critical acclaim. And I don't think he's pushed himself to that point. And I was very frustrated. The last thing he put out, he worked on Gone Girl, and he's going around. What's the name of the thing with Taraji? Acrimony. He was telling me, this is going to be my Gone Girl. It's like, I think Gone Girl was shot in less than 8 days. I think more time was put into it. And maybe that's the way his mind operates, where he just has to crank it out and he's got to do everything. But I think at this point, there's enough money where he can take more risk and maybe give some other people some credit, and just trust. And that might be his big issue in life. I don't know. Yeah.
I know there's been a lot of biopic films such as Birth of a Nation and Marshall. Is there a particular film you would like to see that would tell the story of a certain historic figure that someone would take a chance in?
Things that are happening, or things that I would love to see happen?
Like a Selma or something like that, or a person.
I'm thinking maybe I'd like to see a Marcus Garvey or some Shakur type.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ava's made it clear that Asada Shakur is her dream project. She's doing Central Park 5. I mean, I'm against, I don't like going to church, so I don't like going to movies that are going to be making me feel bad about a certain thing. So anything set in the past really is not interesting to me. Like, there's too much oppression. It's like, those movies, The Help and all stuff is made, white people make those movies so they can say, well, we're not as racist as they were in 1965. We weren't beating you over the head trying to cross a bridge. You can cross the bridge now. It's like, and maybe you need that in school. But I think most people, they're trying to escape their troubles and try and get a better understanding of where they are in the world. And I don't see enough movies like that. But for biopics, it depends on the casting. If they do Marvin Gaye right, I'm there. If they do Sam Cooke, he's long overdue. If they get that right, I'm there. Aretha Franklin probably needs 8 movies. You know, so I'm all for the music biopic, and I was excited about James Brown. I'm a huge James Brown fan, but they messed that movie up just in the editing. Like, it's just so like, whose movie is this? Why can't they just? Why they gotta start off with them being crazy? You know why? You know, so they corrected it with the documentary that Mick Jagger produced. They showed the soul power of James Brown that I like, but Hollywood, they don't. If you don't have the gatekeepers, you have people in there that really know what they're talking about. They'll mess up a good story very easily. Eddie Murphy's gonna be playing Dolomite. That should be a lot of fun. Rudy Ray Moore's story. I mean, it's Eddie Murphy. I'll go see. That should be fun. But I want to see things set in the future. I don't really care about history so much. That's not what empowers your imagination. It's the liberation that you have of going someplace and becoming somebody else for 2 hours. That's why I think Black Panther was such a huge, monstrous hit. People got to see a reflection of their identity, but not in any level of reality. It was
the current state.
not in a well, in a projected in idealized state, in a futuristic state.
Beautiful space.
Kemet, all that stuff. Yeah. So I want to see more of that. Yeah. Straight back, yeah, and then over here.
So, and you talked about biopics, the Nina Simone film, how do you feel about that and the depiction, and using and the plethora of other people we could use to display such an amazing figure? There's that, so at the PCR set. And then, talking about history, so I don't watch slave films anymore. I feel like if you can watch Roots first and second generation, I did not see 12. So as master filmers, how do you feel about just continuing to always show slave films? And to me, it's kind of no different than the Tyler Perry film at this point. It's like they made Roots second generation on Netflix. Why? The first one was good enough and have to be just like I've not seen it. I like again, I don't the need to. So what would you say for me? Because I have not seen a slave film, I think, since Amistad. Like, I just no longer, I just don't see, like, so I don't mind, but what would you say as a film? Is that just those roles
That's another chapter. It's the trouble with Hollywood. Hollywood is devoid of ideas, and getting a movie made on any level is almost impossible because it's got to go through so many channels, and actors basically are the ones that get the movie. Like, if somebody agrees to do something and they feel they have box office appeal, the movie tends to get made. The problem with black movies that are historical is there's still this perception that they're not going to make their money back, right? So we tend to get lowballed up front, right? So even the Tupac movie, the casting, the guy that played Tupac was incredible. They had the rights to the music, all that stuff, but they had to shoot it. They had like 2 months before the rights ran out, and they just messed. It was disgraceful. So there's a lot of moving parts on that, but the Nina Simone, Zoe Saldana, she should have just, I don't know, she must have lost her right mind to even think that she could even do it. I mean, and I went to see it in the theater, and she was trying, you know, but I think it's just outside of her range, but the way it works is there's a very short list of actors that have box office queue, and the fact that Zoe Saldana happened to be in Avatar, even though you never saw her face. That was one of the highest grossing movies ever. It put her on a list of bankable actors. So that's how she got it, as opposed to Lauryn Hill or you know, somebody, Indy Ari, or somebody who would have probably been better for it. Same with Sam Jackson. He's been in tons of movies, but he's the top earning black actor of all time because he's been in a Star Wars movie. He was in Pulp Fiction. So they don't necessarily look at the size of your role or what you did, or even what your performance was. They say, with this guy, we can get this movie made. We can get money overseas for it, or we can get it financed. You know, because it's just a dollars and cents thing at the end of the day. Over here and then over there. Okay. Yes.
I ask a question about like what's bad about cultural appropriation?
Is that the loaded question, or you? What's bad about cultural appropriation?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's a hybrid, I think that's America. Like, you know, I got into hip hop. I love hip hop, but the best hip hop records were Def Jam, and that was a hybrid of Rick Rubin, white guy from Long Island, making street music with Angel Dust Addict from Queens, and just saying we're gonna make the dopest music ever, and we're gonna respect the culture. One of the best films with black people in it, I don't know if people have seen it, was The Fits. It was Anna Rose Holmer. It was, basically, she's an artist. She wanted to make a film involving dance. She went on YouTube. She saw a black dance troupe from Ohio and said, that's my cast. I'm going to make a movie around these people. And she had her concept, but she spent a month spending time with those people, those kids, learning how they express themselves physically and building a script around them. And I don't think a black filmmaker would even, they couldn't have made it. So I think cross-pollination of anything makes everything stronger. It's when people are insensitive, or they don't take sensitivity, empathy has to be in play. Like, what is the motive, what is the intention? So when the intention is we're gonna make some money off this, let's make some more slave movies. After a while, it's like, shit, we're tired of this. And then you didn't see any slave movies this year, did you? Not after Birth of a Nation, right? They're not going to do that. So, but black superheroes are falling out of the sky and shit. You know, so it's just riding the trend. It's not. But every once in a while, you get an artist that actually knows what to do with those opportunities, and then that's when you get a Black Panther. Yeah. Oh, right here, yeah. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask. He was asking what was wrong with black appropriation. Cultural. It's called cultural. I mean, because he was asking what was wrong with it, right? And I understand the idea of, it's hybrids, and that's a great thing because then you're people working together. But can you focus a little bit on what's actually wrong with it? Is it just a lack of empathy from your perspective? Because it seems to me like most people have an issue with cultural or black appropriation is the fact that most often black people don't get credit.
Yes, well, I mean, when you say appropriation, there's a sense of ownership to it, so, and agency. Yeah, so it's not, see, I don't necessarily subscribe to right or wrong. It's, for me as an artist, it's purely motive and intention. Like, I don't like Superfly. I don't want people to see it, but when I look at the film, that's exactly what they wanted to make. They wanted to make a freaking trap music movie that was a visual amplification of what the music's about. But I don't subscribe to that culture, so I have a problem with it personally. But, and a lot of times people, like Eminem, is he really appropriating culture? Is he using the medium of rap music to express his own pain? That's, I have no problem. I mean, if you're legitimate and real about it, that's cool. If you're bringing people in, Bruno Mars, I don't have a problem with him. I look at him and say, he's not, to me, that's not appropriation. It's when people feel violated. That's when folks get upset with the term. Like, you don't understand me. You're using me. You're exploiting me. And that's the painful part of not having our own industry at this point. That's the painful part of having to suffer through After Earth and realizing, like, hey, look, if they took the craft service budget, we could have put, like maybe there's a gestation period to this, and you're showing Q Basir's movie. I ran into him at Sundance. Please go see it. Brilliant.
That's the closing night.
Girl, a dream, yeah. Boy, yeah. So but this guy, I mean, he was at Sundance, and he was on a panel. He said, like, every film I've made, I've applied to Sundance, and after 5 films, I got in, and it's a huge experience. And maybe the trial and error, the sacrifice is what it takes to get better. He had to innovate and figure out, okay, well, what can I do? And he took the gimmick is he does the entire movie in one take, like literally the 2 hours. It's like a stage. It's like a play. The actors, well, it's a play. It's the actors are preparing it like it's a play, but the camera's moving around throughout Los Angeles in the middle of the night. So literally, even though there's like little spots in there, they loaded up the magazine and they went 2 hours straight. And if they messed up, they started all the way back from the beginning. And that's the genius of that film, right? And when you see it, it's like, okay, you know, so maybe we're at this time the way it's supposed to be. Maybe if Ava had gotten that shot 10 years earlier, we wouldn't have been to the peak where we are now, where there's so many people that, like I said, his first movie, Muslim, with Evan Ross. I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw Evan Ross in Muslim, or even Evan Ross in Pride. I mean, that guy. I mean, he doesn't need to act, but he was such a presence in that film. It's like I'm so happy when I see the folks that are in my stuff getting their shot, and I know the majority of them have the integrity to be able to say no to certain things and make good art, because that's what they're committed to, the majority of them. But we got to have our own system, because your whole career could be over in a tweet, you know. And if you don't have a supportive fan base that you can go to and pay, that'll support your work, it's very easy to be a Monique in this world. Yeah, you had your hand up forever. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Not that I want to drive everybody back into Tyler Dairyland, but that was a pretty extreme reaction. And I personally don't like Tyler Dairy. I think he's really offensive, and I'm not even black, okay? So, and I do know that my best friend is Jamaican, my former boss, loves Tyler Perry, has her whole family over. They all sit around and watch Tyler Perry, and this is a really nice family experience for them. You know, and I'm always kind of a large guy. So, you know, I wonder if you see any connection between Tyler Perry and Jack Benny's show crew. What was his name?
Rochester.
Rochester, because that was really controversial, wasn't it? That, you know, some black people really loved Rochester because he was funny, he was a black man, and he was on the radio, and millions loved him, but the other people were like, no, this is horrible. You know, so do you see this similarity?
Well, there's two things. I wish art was here. I mean, one of the things about stereotypes is that you need balance, right? And so when all you're getting is one image of something, and that's supposed to represent an entire whatever, everybody has the right to be offended by that. And film comes from theater, which comes from, on the low end, minstrelsy, and we're still experiencing it. A lot of stereotypes that we encounter come right from blackface, you know, the blackface tradition. When people look at Tyler Perry, I mean, basically he's ripping off the Clumps. He'll tell you himself, like Medea was inspired by Eddie Murphy and the Clumps, right? So on a stage play in an intimate space in a room where there's maybe 500 people or 1,000 people, that's home. You know, it's when that image is projected to the world, and now suddenly you got to go to work on Monday and defend that stuff. Then it becomes problematic.
And it's the only thing that's out there.
And it's making money, and then it's like, well, people must like it. Well, I guess people do. People like crack too. People smoking crack right now. There's probably some crack smoking down the street, you know, without us know. We're in here eating jerk chicken. Why you got to bring that up, right? So not everything that's popular or feels good is good for the society. And I'm just, you know, my whole thing with Tyler Perry is just like, can and he makes an effort, but his wheelhouse is the buffoonery and the drag and all that stuff. You know, he knows that's a check, easy. I'll make boo. I can pay my mortgage this week. But
You don't like to go to films that are going to make you sad, or films, you like to go to films that are going to make you laugh.
well, it's just, well, I mean, the thing is we have the double consciousness, right? So, I mean, for those who are familiar with that term, or code switching, right? So Tyler Perry in theater, he knows his audience. he knows exactly who those people are and how to speak to them, and he's not trying to, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But if you know you're gonna make $40 million, can you spend an extra day on the script? Can you bring some other people in? Can you work on it? Do you have to improvise every single scene? I mean, it's just bottom feeding at a certain point. And for those who go dress up, like if you're watching Boo in your underwear, fine. Watch them improvise. Watch Have and Have Nots. They shoot 2 of those in a day. But for those who are spending $13, I think you should get your money's worth, and that's where my issue is, and I think it sets a bad example when black film is always treated second class, and we finally get a chance to get either Miles Davis. People did the Dick Gregory. He got super infuriated about that. Apparently they needed $8 million to do the Miles Davis story. They had the life rights. Don Cheadle, perfect person to play him. But the only way he could raise the money after 8 years of trying to get it together was to involve some white investors, and they insisted on having this white character come in and rewrite the script, and it took it away from what people's expectations were. So I think if it comes down to that kind of money, don't compromise or avoid the compromise. I mean, you can find money other places. I'm sure if they did an Indiegogo and said, we have the rights to Miles Davis, they would have had $8 million in 3 days. But in Straight Outta Compton, it's like, Dr. Dre is a billionaire. Why? And there may be some Illuminati thing. There might be some trick in the system where you could make the film independently, and if you don't involve certain people, it won't get distributed. And maybe that's why you go through Universal to do Straight Outta Compton. But it could have been made 5 years sooner at New World, but they were balking at the budget. Gary Gray didn't want to do it for 27, so Universal said, "Oh, we'll give you 30." Like $3 million difference. It's like back in the day, Spike Lee would make a call, Bill Cosby, give me some money, or Bill Cosby was a guy. Melvin Van Peebles with Sweetback. He ran into financial problems. Hey, Bill, can you just give me a few dollars to get this movie done? I'll pay you back. You don't have to pay me back. Just get the movie done. So why we don't have it within ourselves, a support system just to push us past the finish line without having to make the artistic compromises that ultimately influence the way that we see the film, and that's our legacy. There won't be another Nina Simone movie for a long time. Yeah, back here. Last 2? Yeah, okay. No, I'm here to hang out.
It was very telling when Spike said that in Hollywood you need permission. And so my whole thing is, should we just start going on the independent route as opposed to, because black filmmakers are going to have to make a decision. Do they want the whole Hollywood aside, or do they want to make a film that reflects us, is about us, and we don't have, it's almost like in Hollywood, and I'm not saying this out of disrespect, but it's almost like it's like a mafioso kind of thing where you have to, pay the piper in order to get a film made, or, right, and it's just I don't think we're ever going to be able to crack through that, you know what I mean? I think we're just going to have to come up with something of our own and just get it done. And if other black filmmakers or the people, even actors that have made it already, can contribute to help us do that, I think it will make a difference. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we talk about this a lot. So it's capitalism, it's ownership. We really don't own anything, right? So, and we don't support the things that we do own. I'm so happy you're here. So that's the problem. It's really us. It has nothing to do with our artists' intentions. People do things, and one of the things I was saying the other day was I'm really anti-film school right now, not because I'm against the education. I think you have to know your craft and invest your 10,000 hours, but for an arts degree, you should not walk out $200,000 in debt, because that means you're never gonna make anything in a commercial space that is actually challenging anything. You're making stuff to sell. Or else you're gonna feel really awful being in debt your whole life. So the thing about capitalism in Hollywood, I think if you Haile Garima, who was part of the Black LA Rebellion with Charles Burnett, you mentioned, and a lot of people, he taught at Howard. He's winding up his tenure at Howard now. And he influenced Bradford Young and so many people in terms of helping to identify and speak to a black aesthetic that challenges oppression and maintains a sense of resistance. But he said, you set money. There's no floor and there's no ceiling in show business, right? So he said it's like his analogy is to slavery. It's like, we were stolen from black African. We were stolen from Africa. How like if Africans were really upset, they would have come. Somebody would have come to get us, right? Somebody would have come to get us. And he said, he said, I've seen generation wave after wave. People get these Hollywood deals and they never come back. They never. That's why Ava's such a jewel, because you said money. Sinbad on The Breakfast Club, one of the best interviews. Not the most recent one. The first time he was on, he said, I was financing this HBO thing. I was bringing funk bands to the islands. HBO never gave me enough money to do it right, so I was taking my own money to reunite these funk bands and put these specials on. I did that out of my own pocket with the belief that next year I'm going to get the big job, I'm going to be the action star, and I'm going to get that big Arnold Schwarzenegger check, and I can pay off all my debts. But meanwhile, I got to pay my family and all these people. He said and then one year, and they said they'll never tell you when you're out of show business. You have to learn it for yourself. He said it took 3 years for him to learn that he was not in show business anymore. They found another person, which was Martin Lawrence. He said when Blue Streak came out and they started hiring Martin Lawrence and he wasn't getting the calls anymore, he realized that it was game over. And he said if he knew then what he knows now, he would have invested in making his own movie, starring himself, even like a Hollywood Shuffle type, instead of trying to take those big checks from Disney, because at least he would have had something he owned, because he owns all those HBOs, right, but he can't put them out because of the music rights. He didn't clear all that music rights. They'll never see the light of day officially. So ownership, like Clint Eastwood, make one for them, make one for you. Own your intellectual property. That's really the key to it. And hire people that are smart. Keep older people around you that know how the game works, because when you get cornered and you're put under pressure, you need somebody like Oprah does for Ava or Forrest Whitaker does for Ron Coogler that can say, look, I know, you know what this is already. You know what this, just to remind you not to go for the okie doke.
Right. Or you're somebody like a Charles Burnett, who did Killer of Sheep and Namibia and a number of other films, who has made the decision not to go the Hollywood route. He could have done that. He's an incredible director, an incredible filmmaker, and like Haile Garima and a number of Julie Collins and a number of them who said, this is not what we want to do. We want to make movies about our experience, and we're not going to go the Hollywood way. I mean, they're not famous. I mean, they're famous as black filmmakers, but certainly not, they don't have a lot of money, but they made it a point to stay true and keep their integrity and not go that Hollywood route. And so there's that option, and there are filmmakers who, probably independent filmmakers who feel that now. But you're right, I do feel that, with this age of more and more black film, more and more people getting picked up at Sundance and Netflix and Amazon and HBO saying, we want content, we want this content, because black content sells now, right? That people are now, waiting for that to happen, waiting to be the next Ava, to get that Selma, to get, be able to get that phone call every single day saying direct, and that's hard because people are I think, are trying to live up to that, and maybe I don't know, maybe it's a good thing and it's pushing you forward, or maybe filmmakers should just be keeping to making the work that they want to make and hope that it hits instead of making work to be somebody else. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, okay, well, we can close up. I'll say, well, the thing is, we're all here, right? We're all going to die. Everybody in this room going to drop fucking dead, right? So nothing's promised. Nothing's promised.
So go make a movie.
Nothing's...
We have to close on death?
No, I'm making the point.
We're moving it to life.
I'm saying nothing's... Did I hit a nerve? Don't die today. Shit, you know, we got time. We got time. I'm just saying, you know, nothing's promised, and you know, you're the product. You're standing with the shoulders of others. We have to work together. You know, people. It's a great time. You can't sustain. So the images are it's a weird catch-22. So a lot of stuff just happens because people have the passion, just blind resistance. They don't see the obstacles, and so a lot of the black films we get is just straight the result of hustling. You know, like there's an opportunity to make some money here. Let's go make this Master P, you know. So I got the hookup, and what was the other one? I'm about it, you know. That's just straight hustler mentality, and a lot of those people, eventually, if they want to make good movies, they get put in. A lot of movies got financed out of brown paper bags, you know. Like here's some money, go do this. From somebody that just respects the craft and sees the double standard, I see that what Sundance is a great opportunity for artists of color to get through the door and tell stories. And we have so many stories that have not been told. South by Southwest. It's a novelty. Hollywood is open. The door's open for a lot of reasons. One, people have been knocking on it for years. Two, the Oscar's so white, you know, liberalism being accused of being racist. We got to find some people that can actually disprove this fact. The fact that there's a huge audience for our stories because it's new, and Hollywood everybody's burned out on images, so just putting a black spin on stuff makes it cool. And Hollywood's been proven wrong. Globally, people will accept images of ourselves, you know, but it's still, from my perspective, I'm an American. I want to make movies that speak to my surroundings, the problems that I see in the world. Institution like Hollywood, Los Angeles, they're trying to keep skyscrapers afloat. You know, they're trying to keep huge, like your movie has to pay for 50,000 people's lifestyles. You know, so they don't even care about an American box office. They're looking at global, and there's those. So a lot of the smaller stories are not necessarily being told by major Hollywood studios, but we do have Netflix. But the caution is, they set the price. You have to trust their math. It's another form of sharecropping. So, Mudbound, as good as it was, it could never been made within the Hollywood system. Or if it did, it would have cost 3 times as much to do it. They knew the movie cost $10 million. They offered them $12 million. The producers were happy. That's the last dollar they'll see from this thing.
So are we moving forward?
Strong black leads, in front of the camera, you have your representation. The justice is gatekeepers. How many studios, when they see the value of black representation in films, are they going to hire more black people to run the studio, give them the power to greenlight, at least at a certain budget level, the way Tyler Perry has, or, you know, Tundo at Disney, he greenlit Wrinkle in Time and Queen of Katwe, and shepherded it through, you know, because a lot of times you get notes and, you know, some are just telling you not to make your movie. Can we make it a little more this, a little more that? So you know, I at this point, I argue London Bridge is falling down, Rome is burning, Paris is burning. I think you're safer outside unless you can get a job that will give you experience. Like get a job on TV, get a check, but you'll also notice a pattern. A lot of the people that are working successfully, Hollywood is their second career. They did other things to earn money in their 20s and 30s, and then they came to filmmaking late. Ava DuVernay, Lee Daniels, Justin Simeon. They didn't put all their eggs in that one basket, but that's not to say that filmmaking can't be a lifetime sport. And again, there's so many stories that have yet to be told. People are assigning value to them now, but things do go in cycles. And I think the job, because nothing is promised, going back to the death, is that we leave something behind that actually represents a truth and can inspire the next wave of people, because that's all art is building upon what's been done before. Like, you know, nothing comes completely out of the sky, you know, so yeah, just keep doing the work, and you don't want to be on the true Hollywood story unsung. Save some of your money, or at least make friends that can give you some money.
And go out and support it, like the Independent Film Festival.
Yeah, lots of great movies here, forever.
So thank you all for coming. Thanks to Mike for the great conversation. More movies, 5 more days. Oh wait, 4 more days. 5 more days? 5? Oh. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wow, 5 more days. Okay. 5 more days. We'll see you around the fest. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Loaded question. Are you a black filmmaker or a filmmaker who happens to be black?
I'm a black filmmaker who makes films that happen to be black.